The Water of Life. 3 brothers and 1 sister lived together in a small cottage, and they loved one another dearly. One day the eldest brother, who had never done anything but amuse himself from sunrise to sunset, said to the rest, "Let us all work hard, and perhaps we shall grow rich, and be able to build ourselves a palace." And his brothers and sisters answered joyfully, "Yes, we will all work." So they fell to working with all their might, till at last they became rich, and were able to build themselves a beautiful palace, and everyone came from miles around to see its wonders, and to say how splendid it was. No one thought of finding any fault, till at length an old woman who had been walking through one of the rooms of the splendid and a full crowd of people exclaimed suddenly, "Yes, it is a splendid palace, but there is something it needs." "And what may that be?" "A church." When they heard this, the brothers set to work again to earn some more money, and when they got enough, they set to building a church, which should be as large and as beautiful as the palace itself. And after the church was finished, greater numbers of people than ever flocked to see the palace and the church, and the vast gardens and magnificent halls. But one day, as the brothers were their usual doing the honors of their guests, one old man turned to them and said, "Yes, it is all most beautiful, but there's still something it needs." "And what may that be?" "A pitcher of the water of life, a branch of the tree the smell of whose flowers gives eternal beauty, and a talking bird." "Where am I going to find all of those?" "Go to the mountain that is far off yonder, and you will find what you seek." After the old man had bowed politely and taken farewell of the eldest brother, he said to the rest, "I will go in search of the water of life, the talking bird, and the tree of beauty." "But suppose some evil thing befalls you," asked his sister. "How shall we know?" "You are right," he said. "I had not thought of that." Then they followed the old man and said to him, "My eldest brother wishes to seek the water of life, the tree of beauty, and the talking bird, that you tell him are needful to make our palace perfect, but how will we know if anything evil befalls him?" So the old man took them a knife and gave it to them, and saying, "Keep this carefully. As long as the blade is bright and shiny, all is well. But if the blade is bloody, then know that even evil has befallen him." The brothers thanked him and departed, and went straight to the palace, where they found the young man making ready to set out for the mountain where the treasures he longed for lay hid. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, till he had gone a great way, and there he met a giant. "Can you tell me how much further I still have to go before I reach that mountain yonder?" "And why do you wish to go there?" "I'm seeking the water of life, the talking bird, and a branch of the tree of beauty." "Many have passed by seeking those treasures, but none have ever come back, and you will never come back either unless you mark my words. Follow this path, and when you reach the mountain, you will find it covered with stones. Do not stop to look at them, but keep on your way. As you go, you will hear scoffs and laughs behind you, but it will be the stones that mock. Do not heed them. Above all, do not turn around. If you do, you will become as one of them. Walk straight on till you get to the top, then take all you wish for." The young man thanked him for his counsel, and walked and walked and walked till he reached the mountain. And as he climbed, he heard behind him scoffs and jeers, but kept his ears steadily closed to them.
Alas, the noise grew so loud that he lost his patience, and he stooped to pick up a stone and hurl it into the midst of the clamor, when suddenly his arms seemed to stiffen, and the next moment he himself was a stone. That day his sister, who thought her brother's steps were long in returning, took out the knife and found the blade was red as blood. She cried to her brothers that something terrible has come to pass. "I will go and find him," said the second, and he went. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, till he too met the giant, and asked him if he had seen a young man traveling towards the mountain. And the giant answered, "Yes, I have seen him pass, but I have not seen him come back. The spell must have worked upon him." "Then what can I do to disenchant him and find the water of life, the talking bird, and the branch of the tree of beauty?"
"Follow this path, and when you reach the mountain, you will find it covered with stones. Do not stop to look at them, but climb steadily on. Above all, heed not the laughs and scoffs that will arise on all sides, and never turn around. And when you reach the top, you can take then all that you desire."
The young man thanked him for his counsel and set out for the mountain. But no sooner did he reach it than loud jests and jibes broke out on every side and almost deafened him. For some time he let them rail and pushed boldly on till it passed the place where his brother had gained. Then suddenly he thought that among the scoffing laughs he heard his brother's voice. He stopped and looked back, and another stone was added to the number. Meanwhile, the sister, left at home, was counting days when her two brothers should return to her. The time seemed long, and it would be hard to say how often she took out the knife and looked at its polished blade to make sure that at least one was still safe. The blade was always bright and clear, each time she looked at it, in the happiness of knowing that all was well, till one evening, tired and anxious, as she frequently was at the end of the day, she took it from a drawer, and behold, the blade was as red as blood. Her cry of horror brought the youngest brother to her, and unable to speak, she held out the knife. "I will go," he said. So he walked, and he walked, and he walked until he met the giant, and asked, "Have two men making for yonder mountain passed this way?" And the giant answered, "Yes, they have passed by, but they never came back. But by this I know that the spell has befallen upon them." "Then what must I do to free them and get the water of life, the talking bird, and the branch of the tree of beauty?"
"Go to the mountain. You will find so thickly covered with stones that you will hardly be able to place your feet, and walk straight forward, turning neither to the right nor to the left, paying no heed to the laughs and scoffs which will follow you until you reach the top. Then you may take all that you desire."
The young man thanked the giant for his counsel and set forth to the mountain. And when he began to climb, there burst all around him a storm of scoffs and jeers. But he thought of the giant's words and looked neither right nor left. The mountaintop lay straight before him. A moment now, and he would have gained it, when, through the groans and yells, he heard his brothers' voices. He turned, and there was one more stone. And all this while his sister, pacing up and down the palace, hardly taking the knife out of her hand, and dreading what she knew, what she would see, and what she did see. The blade grew red before her eyes, and she said, "Now it is my turn." So she walked, and she walked, and she walked till she came to the giant, and prayed him to tell her if he had seen 3 young men pass this way seeking the distant mountain.
"I have seen them pass, but they have never returned, and by this I know that the spell has fallen upon them."
And what must I do to set them free and find the water of life, the talking bird, and a branch of the tree of beauty?
You must go to that mountain, which is so full of stones that your feet will hardly find a place to tread. And as you climb, you will hear a noise as if all the stones in the world were mocking you. But pay no heed to anything you may hear, and once you gain the top, you have gained everything.
The girl thanked him for his counsel and set out for the mountain, and scarcely had she gone a few steps upward when she heard screams and cries breaking forth around her, and she felt as if each stone she trod on was a living thing. But she remembered the words of the giant and knew not what had befallen her brothers, and kept her face steadily towards the mountain top, where she grew nearer and nearer at every moment. But as she mounted, the clamor increased sevenfold. High above them all rang the voices of her three brothers. But the girl paid no heed, and at last took her feet to the top and stood. Then she looked around and saw, lying in a hollow, the pool of water of life, and she took the brazen pitcher that she had brought with her and filled it to the brim. By the side of the pool stood the tree of beauty, with a talking bird on one of its boughs. She caught the bird and placed it in a cage and broke off one of the branches. After that she turned and went joyfully down the hill again, carrying her treasures. But her long climb had tired her out, and the brazen pitcher was so heavy, and she spilled a few drops and spilt on the stones, and as it touched them, they changed into young men and maidens, crowding about her to give thanks for their deliverance. So she learnt by this how the evil spell might be broken, and she carefully sprinkled every stone till there was not one left, only a great company of youths and girls who followed her down the mountain. When they arrived at the palace, she did not lose a moment in planting the tree branch of the tree of beauty and watering it with the water of life. And the branch shot up into a tree and was heavy with flowers, and the talking bird nestled in its branches. Now the fame of these wonders was noised abroad, and the people flocked in great numbers to see the three marvels, and the maiden who had won them. And among the sightseers came a king's son, who would not know to do everything until it was shown him, until he had heard how it all happened. And the prince admired the strangeness and beauty of the treasures of the palace, but more than all, he admired the beauty and courage of the maiden who had brought them there. So he went home and told his parents, and gained their consent to wed her for his wife. Then a marriage was celebrated in the church adjoining the palace. Then the bridegroom took her to his own home, where they lived happily forever after.